brahmacharya. Ashtottara Sri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Brahmacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopi Go Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Navarit Dham Ki Jai, Ganga Mai Ki Jai, Yamuna Mai Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Tulasi Devi Ki Jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Go Premanande Haribol. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Sarasvati Devi Gauravani Pracharne Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarne. The fans are on and devotees are sitting underneath with warm clothing. Seems to be a bit of a rasa bas there. Any reason to have the fans on? Pollute the environment, spend more money? They're not very good reasons. So I had requested that questions be given to me, but I didn't get any. Okay, well, they didn't reach me yet, so it'll come to the same thing as getting them at the last moment. All right. So how are we going to do this? You're going to speak them to me? Do you sort them out in any order? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimmirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurin Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Shreshtham Manamapi Shatiputram Atra Swarupam Rupam Tasyagrajamu Rupuring Maturim Goshtavatim Radha Kundam Girivaramaho Radhika Madhavasham Prapto Yasya Pratita Kripaya Shri Gurum Tamnatosmi Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Ataf Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Yeah, so please ask the questions and I'll reply yata shruta yata mati, as much as I've heard and as much as I've realized.
This first question, saying each authority has his preferences, so how to learn to please Guru and the authorities.
Each authority has?
Their personal preferences, so how to learn to please Guru and authorities.
How can you learn to please Guru and authorities? Could be difficult if the authority of Guru and other authorities have markedly different outlooks. I'm still wondering about that one myself. What's the answer? Should I instruct my disciples to abandon their posts in places where I disagree with the temple authorities' outlook on certain issues? Actually, it would be hard to find anyone in ISKCON today who gets into issues by, for instance, browsing on the internet. It'd be hard to find anyone who has the same outlook exactly on all the various issues, because there are quite a lot of issues, and on each issue there are various outlooks. For instance, the role, let's keep it polite, gender roles. Book changes. Guru roles. Poison. And what else? There must be more. There's so many. I just can't think of any right now. Yeah, certain decisions and dealings of the GBC. So it's hard to. These are all very contentious issues, and it's hard to find devotees with exactly the same outlook on all of them. One approach is to go along to get along. Another approach is to start your own movement. And then we'll end up like the Protestant churches, isn't it? They divide and divide and divide and divide, and it's not like the cell. That example was given by Jayapataka Maharaj years ago. He took it from the Bhakti Vikasa. It's another. That's one analogy. Another analogy is the cell. You start off with small group of devotees in congregational preaching, and when they get bigger, you, just like a cell divides and you make it into two groups, and in this way you expand and expand and expand. But dividing over issues is not the same. And often outsiders can't even understand what's the big thing. Just like, for instance, if an outsider with no idea of Gauriya theology was to go to a Ritvik temple, as we might call it, or come to this temple, and it would seem to be pretty much the same in everything. But, that reminds me. Welfare work, feeding the poor, giving shoes to all the school children in Andhra Pradesh. Should ISKCON be doing this or not? And then bridge preaching, yoga is teaching people to stretch and groan. Is this authorized? Krishna West. There are so many contentious issues. What is the solution to all of that? I just brought it out a little bit more, and the answer is, I don't know. I'm still working on it myself. Where do you draw the line between, we were just discussing this yesterday with Dhanavir Maharaj, where do you draw the line between difference of opinion, different approaches, and deviation? Srila Prabhupada wrote in the Chaitanya Charitamrita commentary that previously all the members of the Gauriya Math were one, united under their Guru Maharaj, but later they split, and he said they're all asar in that particular purport. They're all useless. So Srila Prabhupada perceived, at least in writing that purport, of course in other purports, he writes in a laudatory style about the various branches of the Gauriya Math. Even though we all have our differences, although there are differences of opinion, everyone is spreading the message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu according to their ability. So it's quite opposite approaches in both in Srila Prabhupada's books, and that is also contentious. How do you as an individual negotiate your way? As far as I know, according to ISKCON law, you're supposed to follow your temple authority. Mostly. But I don't know how, practically I see that devotees, they don't buy into that. They tend to think, I'll follow my guru, because the guru is someone I approached to be my eternal guide, whereas the town president, they can change at any time. What shall I say? These are difficult questions, but how to please your authorities and guru. If you have a particular issue, you could, which really vexes you, you could ask, but to date, I've never said to any disciple I'm just talking about my own approach. I haven't said to any disciple that I don't agree with your local authorities, so leave, go somewhere else. I haven't said that. But if an issue really vexes you, then you could ask what your approach should be to both the local authority and to your guru. That's all I can say. I can take it on a case-by-case basis, because it is going to be different in every case anyway. And then take it from there. I was just told by one of my disciples who has been initiated for a few years that when they'd asked about inviting me to their center, their local authority had told them that I'm deviating from Prabhupada. So, doesn't make for a very congenial solution to the problem, and which alienated him more. So these are contentious times in our movement, as in the whole world. If you happen to see the news, you'll see it's very contentious times within the world. It's as if the current of Kali Yuga is getting ratcheted up more and more and more, and within our movement also. So, no clear answer, and you can, if a particular issue particularly bothers you, then try discussing with both sides and understand. Ultimately, we have to understand through Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. Okay, that's all I have to. That question could lead to dozens of other questions. Whatever happens, go on chanting Hare Krishna. Whatever happens within the Vaishnava society, Krishna is always going to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We're all going to be His eternal servants. And it's just like we're sitting here, and it doesn't really matter to us that much, although it might be interesting to delve into the history of the Gauriya Math just after Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur passed away. So whatever, it was a very turbulent time, but in course of time, things settle down and life is going on in Krishna consciousness in the various branches and sub-branches of what was originally the one Gauriya Math. So similarly, we should see, as in the 1972 edition of Bhagavad Gita as it is, it's mentioned about seeing with the eye of eternity. So it's good to see with the eye of eternity that although these issues are very serious, I mean, it's a very serious issue. Was Srila Prabhupada deliberately poisoned by his disciples or not? It's a very serious issue. I don't believe it, but I'm not bringing it up to try to promote it, not at all. But it is a very serious accusation. And that Srila Prabhupada's books have been unauthorizedly altered. It's a very serious issue. I believe, I haven't discussed it with Danavir Maharaj recently, but I believe my outlook on it is different to his, but it's not something that's going to make a division between us. The bond is stronger than the difference. So yeah, see with the eye of eternity. We have to go on chanting. We have to develop our relationship with Krishna. We have serving the mission. Srila Prabhupada has practically given us as our way to develop our Krishna consciousness. A major part of that is serving the mission of the previous acharyas. That by serving their mission, we'll get their mercy. And it does become difficult when if we are unsure that the mission is going on the right course. I think that's enough said on that for now. And as I've said, I myself am at a crossroads regarding all these things. But it may just be, it could be that the crossroads mean you can go straight, you can go right, it might just go straight. It's not necessarily I'm going to go right or left, whatever. Hare Krishna. Any other easier questions? What is the color of the sky? I just noticed that yesterday. It's so deep, dark blue here when the sun shines. I see blue sky most of the year in India, but it's a lighter blue mostly. Some geologist or what is that called? Meteorologist or whatever could say why. Why is the sky blue? That's another question. What's the answer? Yeah, Krishna's blue, and it comes through the brahmacharya. That's what Srila Prabhupada said. Scientists don't say that. They have another explanation, but that may be true also. Probably is. Yeah, any other question?
So this person, if I understood his question, says, why or why not should we get free from this superstar mentality? I want to be the one doing huge on books, making devotees, etc.
Why or why not should we get free from the superstar mentality? I want to be number one on books. Forget it. Mahotsa is well ahead of you. And as far as lifelong achievement is concerned, Bhrigupati Prabhu is well ahead of you. Well, anything's possible. Outdo Mahotsaha. I told Mahotsaha that it's good doing big scores, but you should set your life aim. Don't be a flash in the pan. But you can estimate how many books in his life Bhrigupati Prabhu has done and make that your life aim. So work according to your capacity. Superstar mentality means superstars are shooting stars. I just asked in Atlanta in a public talk, how many of you have heard of John Lennon? Such a big figure in the 1960s and 70s, at least in the Western world. Probably no one in China had ever heard of him. It was 1/3 of the world's population. And I also met Michael Jackson. Everyone's heard of him, but he's also fading away. They fade away pretty quick, these superstars. Probably within 20 years, half the population of America, as well, especially those under 20, will have never heard of Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson, how could you not hear of it? So, get free of the superstar mentality by understanding the foolishness of it. We have so many pictures on the walls. I think that a good picture to have, maybe in the ashram, is a picture of a photo from space, at least what they say is a photo from space, where you see so many stars, maybe with a little arrow, Earth, to point out the Earth. The Earth is somewhere around that star, which we call the sun. Of course, that's the mundane space astronauts, whatever they call it, astronomers, what they claim. But it's a good meditation on how small we are. Who are you trying to impress? Yeah, it's a philosophical understanding of us. It's always good to remember how small we are. Always good to remind ourselves. You know that story of Srila Prabhupada with Tamal Krishna Maharaj explaining the spiritual sky and the spiritual planets, and then the material sky and the different universes, and we're living in the smallest universe, and we're on that smallest universe, there's one planet, and on that planet, there's one country called the United States, and in the United States, there's one city called Los Angeles, and in Los Angeles, there's one neighborhood called Culver City or whatever, and in Culver City, there's one street called whatever it is, La Ciénaga Boulevard, whatever, and then on that street, there's one house with the number such and such, and in that house, in one room, is Tamal Krishna thinking he's the controller of everything. It went something like that. That's a good reminder. But yeah, it's demoniac mentality. Ishvaroham aham bhogi siddhoham balavan sukhi. I am the greatest. Who said that? Famously, American sportsman Muhammad Ali. I think he was called Cassius Clay at the time, and when he became Muhammad Ali, he refuted that. Or understand, I'm not the greatest. Allahu Akbar. Allah is the greatest. So that was good. Ishvaroham. I am God. I am the enjoyer. I am perfect, powerful, and happy. It's a silly mentality which we take into devotional service also. So how to get rid of it? Well, be a devotee. Understand who we are, actually. Okay, anything else?
There's an example of a devotee not wanting to bow down, and Srila Prabhupada told him, because if you bow down, then you get the feeling for bowing down. because he said he doesn't feel like doing it, so just start bowing down. So this devotee asks, to what extent does this apply to our devotional life? How can we actually develop the actual mood and surrender and not just fake it forever, like fake it till you make it? How do you cross from faking it, not actually feeling, but doing it?
How do you go from doing it as a duty to internalizing it? Well, all of sadhana bhakti starts with doing it without developed feeling, but with some feeling that this is where I want to go. Ado shraddha tata sadhu sangha ata bhajana kriya. So in the beginning, it may not be exactly faking it, but we're just doing it because we have the faith that by doing it, we will gradually develop genuine feelings for Krishna. So we go on with the process. It's a matter of continuing with the process, hearing and chanting about Krishna and serving Krishna and the devotees in the association of devotees, and that will purify. Unless one deliberately maintains an attitude of, I don't want to be purified. I don't really feel like that. But then by hearing, we should understand, well, I should feel like that. And start to consider, why am I bowing down? It's not just a matter of duty, but I'm bowing down because this person is the representative of Krishna. I need to be purified. And if we don't feel like that, well, you can just go and smoke a joint or do whatever you like. We're here to become purified, right? If we want to maintain our own egoistic outlook, then we don't belong in devotional service. And we won't be allowed to remain if we don't follow the basic rules and regulations. Either Maya will kick us out by dragging us out, thinking, yeah, why don't I go smoke a joint? Like that. Or we won't be allowed to remain in the community of devotees. Well, especially I'm talking about temple living. There are rules to be followed. Then?
So, this devotee writes, it's easier to be submissive to a guru, but it's more difficult to authorities who are closer in age, because it's seen that there's more like a friend. So how to be submissive and at the same time keeping that friendship and...
Well, submissiveness is particularly to superiors, and there are different relationships. In friendship is not characterized by submissiveness. Submissiveness is toward a superior. So it's not expected in friendship that there'll be submissiveness. Vaishnava quality is humility, but submissiveness in the sense of being prepared to do, just like Arjuna said, Shishaste hang shadimang tvang prapannam. Now I'm your disciple, surrendered unto you. So previous to that, Arjuna and Krishna, they would speak on equal terms. So it's a misunderstanding of what it means to be a friend. Submissive, yeah, but submissiveness means towards seniors. It's not the guru should be submissive to the disciple, for instance. Is that understood? You're looking with a quizzical look on your face. Seems to be pretty clear to understand to me. If anyone have difficulty with that? Yeah.
Hare Krishna. So I'm wondering about this equals, because, and it would seem that if everybody's joining, get initiation at different times, usually, so in different ages. So it seems that you necessarily wouldn't have anybody who's joined the same time as you.
Yeah, but if you say that, well, we were both initiated at the same initiation ceremony 47 years ago, but I was in line before you, therefore I am your senior, that's ridiculous. Were Krishna and Arjuna born on the same day? We don't have information like that, but they were practically equal in age. And they related like that. It's a matter of relationship, and which just comes naturally.
So for this submission may not be the right. It sounds like submission is probably not the right term to be used.
Yeah,
in this
well,
context.
you should get your terms right. Otherwise, the question won't be understood, will it?
Is it more appropriate to say that cooperation, like cooperating?
Yeah, well, friends cooperate. That's one of the main things of friendship, isn't it? Friends may also disagree. It may be that two people are, say in the army, two men are friends. They join at the same time, they're around the same age, and one gets promoted to, they both join as privates, and then one gets promoted to a sergeant. So if the junior, or if the friend who's not promoted is in the same platoon or whatever it is as the sergeant, and the sergeant gives orders, he has to follow. The other has to follow. Then the friendship, that will alter according to the post that's given. Although it may be hard for especially in off-duty hours, it may be hard for the junior to accept that. So these are all the intricacies of human psychology and socio-psychology. Is not strict rule for which there are norms which are adhered to, but there are not strict rules governing that if someone is 1 day older, okay, you're an equal, 2 days older, you're equal, and then at some point 3 years, 3 months, 3 weeks, and 3 days older, okay, now you're a senior. It's not like that. It works out in human intercourse as in a natural way. Some of the earlier disciples of Srila Prabhupada in the West especially, they used to see Srila Prabhupada as a friend more than as a father, which later disciples generally saw him as. It's a matter of how dealings actually work out and how different people position themselves like that. It may be among equals, someone has a very dominating character, and others, they submit to that. They're equals, but all are equal, but some are more equal than others. As Srila Prabhupada said, in my childhood and youth, among my friends, I was always considered the leader. He had a dominating personality. Yeah, anything else?
So this devotee.
I find, especially in the West, there's so many questions about relationships, and I don't really relate to it that much. It just seems to be a very natural kind of thing, and it's probably maybe due to the prevalence of psychology, and another thing maybe because this promotion of the idea that we're all individuals and we should be individualistic and we all have freedom. And we don't know where we stand in society. They criticize what they call the caste system and this and that. But one thing is, no one has an existential crisis. You know who you are, what your place in society is, and how you're to behave within it, and how to relate to others. It's all very clear. So you don't have all these psychological hang-ups about all these things, relationship, and this and that. And
So I think in your class you mentioned yesterday, how does the internet, you said you related is trouble coming looking for you. It can be
looking for you. Yeah, you're looking up something, and all of a sudden a scantily dressed young woman pops up on your screen. Photo or whatever it is, but yeah. Via the internet, Maya comes looking for you. Sometimes they make it very tricky. You go to where you think you'll close it, and it opens it instead. Have you seen that? You top right corner, you think you're going to close that window, and instead it pops up more. That's what I was referring to.
So this devotee is asking, why does he keep making the same mistakes in devotional service again and again?
Well, you answer. Why do you make the same mistakes? Then you answer. It's up to you. You give the answer. Why don't you reform yourself?
So
Ata kena prayuktoyam papam charati purushaha anichanapi varshnaya balamiva niyojitaha. Arjuna's question. What's the answer? What did Krishna reply? Anyone? You don't study Bhagavad Gita? Kama esha krodha esha rajoguna samudbhavaha mahashano mahapatma vidyena mihavayarnam. You should study Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna asks, why do we do things that we know are wrong? We don't want to do it. Why do we still do it? And Krishna says, it is lust which transforms into anger. Lust which is born of rajoguna, which transforms into anger, and which is the all-devouring, greatly sinful enemy. And then Krishna goes on in several verses to describe about the nature of this kama, this lust, and how we should overcome it by knowing oneself to be transcendental to the mind, body, and senses. One should conquer this insatiable enemy known as lust. So there's the answer Krishna gives in Bhagavad Gita. We repeatedly do things that we know we shouldn't do. How to conquer that? By knowing, by knowledge. That's the answer Krishna gives in Bhagavad Gita. Then, anything else?
So what is, I think maybe perhaps you mentioned this yesterday. It says secret indulgence in sex life. What are the subtleties in this? What is secret indulgence in sex life? Or
I believe Srila Prabhupada mentioned that in the purport, isn't it? Yeah. Well, there are eight symptoms of brahmacharya, which are mentioned. I'm not sure which shastra. Was it kirtanam, to speak about, smaranam, kirtanam, keli. One of them is guhya bhashanam. Smaranam means thinking about it, so that's subtle. Guhya bhashanam means secretly or privately talking with women. So these are instances. Thinking about it means particularly meditating on it, because thinking, feeling, willing, it leads to downfall.
so this devotee is wondering, How does he beat lust at the prasadam table?
How to defeat lust at the prasadam table?
Because it seems they want to take more and more.
Well, that's, yeah, well, eat until you can't eat anymore, and then there won't be any more desire to eat left. That's one way to overcome it. If you're at that stage, then just keep on going. Keep on going, and then a time will come. A time will come when your intelligence will dominate the tongue. Should happen. It might not happen immediately. But as you know, Srila Prabhupada encouraged newer devotees to eat to their heart's content, not to their stomach's content. Stomach doesn't need much content, but the tongue wants more. So you can follow that. In the beginning, you take, and gradually the stage should come when you think that with the intelligence that think, yeah, it's nice, I could eat more, but then that's going to impede my devotional service. I have to do later, make me more sleepy, I may get indigestion. It's not good for overall health, and anyway, this body is meant for serving Krishna, so I should take what is needed for the body and not more. That intelligence should come in course of time. When, I'd been in the movement less than 2 years, when I saw this in myself. I'm so much attracted to prasada for the taste. So I thought a good solution for that would be to cook for Krishna and the devotees, and then channel that desire for nice food into trying to please Krishna and the devotees by cooking for them. So that's one way. And one thing is, when you're cooking for Krishna, you should never think, I'm going to eat it afterwards. You shouldn't think like this. This is only for Krishna. You should think like that. Otherwise, it's not offerable to Krishna if we're thinking like that. Then?
Let's see. This person was asking, what's the best way to stay engaged as a grihasta?
Best way to stay engaged as a grihasta? Well, I'm not sure what you mean, but who's asking the question? It's supposed to be a brahmacharya class, right? Grihasta is another whole arena of problems. That I often say, if you're finding you're having so many problems in the brahmacharya ashram, then you go to the grihasta ashram. That's the ashram of problems. Brahmacharya life is supposed to be very simple. Grihasta life is inherently problematic. What do you mean? How you should live and support yourself as that engagement, or what engagement you should do in devotion, direct devotional service? I'm not clear what it is. As far as engagement, Srila Prabhupada recommended for grihastas, they could go to Krishna conscious farms, or they could have their own piece of land and grow their own food and keep a cow, or they could have a restaurant or prasad distribution. These are things he recommended. Other things, business, he said, should be done by grihastas, not by brahmacharis or sannyasis. So that also. Otherwise, you just have to do whatever you can to maintain your family. I'm not sure whether otherwise, as far as engagement is concerned, well, you can, if you're close to a temple, you can come to the temple, and there's always plenty of engagement, plenty of things to do. You could ask those who are allocating the services. If you're not close to a temple, then you can chant Hare Krishna at home and try to spread it as much as possible to other people in the area.
This devotee is asking how to balance being serious and at the same time cheerful in one's mood with one relationship with devotees.
I just gave a talk on this earlier this week. Krishna consciousness is both serious and joyful, and the two things seem to be opposed to each other. If you say someone is a very serious person, you don't expect them to be joyful. If you say someone's a very joyful person, you don't expect them to be very serious. But in Krishna consciousness, both things are there simultaneously. So serious means we're serious about serving Krishna together, and that naturally generates joy. Joy doesn't mean this slapstick and fooling around. That may be there also in the dealings between Advaita Acharya and Nityananda. They would make jokes calling each other horrendous names, one accusing the other of being a Mayavadi, the other accusing him of being an unknown sannyasi whose behavior is not known. We don't know what kind of renegade he is. So that may be, but not all the time. We're serious about serving Krishna, that generates joy in itself, not that we try to inject some mundane humor or so, or even that, Srila Prabhupada, he didn't do it as a habit, but when the Charlie Chaplin movie came up on the screen, Prabhupada saw that, and he enjoyed it. So Krishna consciousness is not without humor. Of course, Srila Prabhupada is able to see Charlie Chaplin, Krishna's humor. It's not recommended that you go binge watching Charlie Chaplin in the name of Krishna consciousness. Yeah, then?
This person is asking, what room is there for brahmacharis to write?
What room is there for brahmacharis to write?
Yeah.
Is there, a writing room, a study room? Should a room be set aside? The question's ambiguous, isn't it? Well, whoever wrote that question, the first thing they should learn is how to write in a non-ambiguous way, because the very question itself is ambiguous. How much scope do they have for writing? Yeah, well, Srila Prabhupada said he wanted his disciples to write something every day, so presumably that includes the brahmacharis. You can write. You can keep a diary if you like. Yesterday also, Dhanavya Maharaj was telling me that at one point, at the request of one of his godbrothers, he started keeping a diary. I don't know if he does now, I don't think so, but he's busy in other writing projects. You can write. If you write a paragraph a day, you can write questions, realizations. You could start to write for Back to Godhead magazine. Everyone writes on Facebook, isn't it? They write something. Hari Bol, exclamation mark. I don't know. I'm not on Facebook, so I don't know what goes on there. I never have been. Unusual species of human being. So yeah, writing is good. You should be able to find time to write something every day. If you want to write a book, that's a whole big project, and then you'd have to. For brahmacharya, you should take permission and guidance and all these things, because it is a major project. It takes considerable time. Then another question.
How does exactly this cleanliness affect one's consciousness?
How does cleanliness? Well, if everything is clean, then it's easier to have a clean mind. If everything is not clean, it's indicative of tamagun. So it's like we say bhaktya sanjatya bhaktya. Bhakti gives rise to bhakti. Sattvam sanjayate jnanam. One thing leads to another. Sattvagun leads to knowledge. So Sattvagun, one symptom of that is cleanliness. And cleanliness also helps to reinforce Sattvagun. So that is required. How does it affect our consciousness exactly? I don't know. What do you analyze how you being in a certain atmosphere affects the neurons in the brain and that interact? That exactly I don't know. But you can experience, everyone can experience how it's pleasant to be in a clean place and unpleasant to be in a dirty place, unless you're in tamaguna, and they may prefer to be in a dirty place. But it's something which is directly experienced and doesn't need so much explanation. It's just like how does milk nourish the body? You don't really need to know how it nourishes the body. You just offer it to Krishna and drink it. So how cleanliness nourishes sattva-gun, exactly the psychological mechanics of it we don't really need to know, but we can just accept it as a fact. And then?
So this question is, when receiving some instructions from authority, whether a guru or some authorities, why does this person feel embarrassed to ask why? Is there a risk or a benefit to ask
why? Do you feel
why?
Embarrassed to ask why when an authority is giving an instruction? Another psychological question. I'm not very good at psychology. Sorry. Embarrassed. One may feel embarrassed. One may feel afraid. Maybe feel that it's improper for me to ask. I should have unquestioning acceptance. We don't see that Arjuna was like that. He said to Krishna, Shishasteham shadimang tvang prapannam, I'm surrendered to you as a disciple. But he practically challenged Krishna several times. Why are you speaking? I just want you to tell me whether to fight or not, and you give me all these equivocal instructions. And then he asked, well, you're saying that you spoke to the sun god, but you're the same age as me. So how could you speak to the sun god? So it's almost like a challenge, but it's for the sake of clarification. One can ask. If one feels embarrassed, you could maybe do so by writing. That's possibility. Put it in writing. Humbly submit a question in writing, if you feel embarrassed to do so. On the face, so to speak. That's a suggestion. And depending on the response, you may forthwith ask more questions or not. Then?
Why is it favorable for a brahmacharya to start to move in the direction of Brahminical standards?
That question sounds, the question itself is coming from a platform of such ignorance of what brahmacharya is meant for that I don't think I should even answer it. It's like something like, why should you eat food? Or why should you breathe? Or why be a brahmachari? So that you can become a mleccha? I joined the brahmacharya ashram so I could become a mleccha. You're already a mleccha. I'm sorry. I'm psychologically short-circuited by that question.
You mentioned in class that we should reach up to get the mercy. What does this mean, reach up?
Reach up means we pray to Krishna. Krishna is up, we're down. Simple explanation. Ainanda tanuja kingarang patitam mam vishame bhavam buddho kripaya tavapada pankaja stita dhuli sadrishang vichindaya. Krishna, I'm fallen in this horrible ocean of material existence. Please pick me up and place me just like an atom in the dust of your lotus feet. So reaching up, asking Krishna to pull us up. It may be, may not be physically reaching up, but it may be in our attitude like that. So, yeah.
I have a question, Guru Maharaj. Wait
a minute, how many more questions are here?
They're pretty much done.
Okay. Pretty much done, so why don't we finish them first, the written?
Some of them are just difficult to understand.
Okay, so that's the end of the written questions, is it? Okay, then.
So I heard
putting in writing means that should help one to clarify one's own thoughts also. So it's a good idea when you write something to see if it will be understood by others. Many times we write something, we think other people will understand, thinking that they think in the same way that we do, when they don't. So writing clearly is an art that should be cultivated, and that leads to clarity of thought also.
So I'll just give some quick context. So when I was in Mayapur, there was this Shilas, and I think it was Pankajam Prabhu, one of the main pujaris. He was saying that this Shila can be worshipped in it has different features, and all of them are bona fide, so you have to choose one. But he was saying it's better if they choose our Sampradaya Ishtadehas as worship. So I was wondering, what's the significance of that?
What's the significance of what in particular?
Restricting yourself to your Sampradaya Ishtadehas. That's what he said we should.
Well, of course, we're in this Sampradaya, and the aim of in this Sampradaya, we follow Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which is mainly aiming at Golok Vrindavan. If you want to worship Lord Rama, Sita Rama, as you can do also in our Sampradaya, but that is more stressed. If you want to worship Sita Rama as the center of your worship, that'll be more stressed in other Vaishnava Sampradayas. So being in this Sampradaya, we are aiming at Radha Krishna in Vrindavan. And we can also worship other forms of the Lord as an ancillary to that. So naturally, if we want to worship, we're going to take up worship. We're going to take up worship in that way. We're not going to worship according to the system of the Madhva Sampradaya, for instance. The question, again, it seems obvious to me. I find it hard to answer because the answer is so obvious. If you're in a certain sampradaya, then you worship according to the system of that sampradaya, not according to another system. Anything else? Yeah, give him the mic.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, you just said that we can worship other also. Does that include Shiva, Mataji, or some people worship their guru? So, you know.
How long have you been associated with ISKCON?
About 40 years.
You didn't understand this point yet?
I'm sorry?
Did you not understand this point yet? Did you not ask this question when you first came?
Well, no, I never asked because...
In 40 years, you never asked the question of whether or not we should worship demigods? It never occurred to you in 40 years?
Yeah, I mean, those questions came and I heard, but you just said we can worship others. That's why I wanted to make sure.
Other forms of Vishnu.
Yeah.
We're talking about Shalagram Shila, form of Vishnu. The point under discussion was of worship of Shalagram Shila, form of Vishnu, not any other form.
Oh, okay. Okay. So it has to be anything, form of Krishna or form of Vishnu, like that. Which includes Rama, right?
Includes Vamana, did you say?
Rama. Sitaram.
Yes, Sitaram.
Right, right. And my other question was, in distributing prasadam, we can distribute to anybody, correct? Good, bad, or ugly. I mean, you go to homeless place and these people are, very, very dirty and, they do eat meat, alcohol, drugs, they do all kinds of stuff. And they are very dirty. So it can be given to anybody at any place, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Now we're morphing into general questions and answers. What's your question, please?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Going to be a brahmacharya in your next life? Is that the questions? The supposed to be questions about brahmacharya life.
If I could still serve Krishna, then...
But you don't have to. You can go back to Godhead.
Thank you.
According to Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, you don't have to be in a male body. What's the question, please?
I was wondering if you could speak upon how to best take advantage of associating with more advanced devotees.
How to best take advantage of associating with more advanced devotees?
Like we hear...
Serve them, hear from them, follow their advice. That's it, in a nutshell. Better keep it simple. Don't make it more complex than necessary. All right, so one more thing you can say.
In my mind, this is it's a general question, so I'd rather, since the topic is brahmacharya,
All right then, Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. We're all going for Harinam Sankirtan, leaving here at what time?
4:30, we'll leave.
4:30. Okay, Jai. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evata patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Dante nidaya churnakam padayo nipatya kritva chakka kushatam etaraham ravimi hey sadhava sakala eva vihaya durad gauranga chandra charane kurutanuragaha. Parivadatu jano yata tatava nanumukaro navayang vicharayama. Harirasa madhira madati matam bhuvi vilutama nartama nirvishama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Who made this garland? You made it? Okay. Give that. Please take it. Hare Krishna. Hare Bol.